If this video found its way to you, I'm hoping you stay till the end, because it gets dark and it gets a little juicy. This is my testimony of how Jesus keeps saving me. First and foremost, I am Blue Jay. My name is John. The reason why I choose to coin Blue Jay is because Blue Jays usually get a bad rap. Y'all usually will hear them screaming at people or attacking people. But really, they're one of the most protective birds that's out there. So I'm bipolar, so think of a blue jay as having a bipolar nature where they're not only fierce but protective. A little bit of a back and forth. My story just bear with me if you can. So as a kid, everybody goes through some things, but I handled those things incorrectly. I was very double-minded, and we all know what the Bible says about double-minded nature. I was good to people, but also bad to people. I took care of some people and religiously hurt other people. I was in marching band as a kid, loved to joke around, had a great personality. At least back then I did. It's a lot to take on growing up, and that's like that for everyone. Your life experiences put you through things, and when you're bipolar, it only makes things a little bit more difficult. I say that it doesn't even really begin to do it justice, to be honest. I went mostly unmedicated until I was about 18 years old. I started smoking weed whenever I was 16 and kind of stayed smoking weed non-stop up until not too long ago. I used drugs to kind of cope with my weaknesses, my inability to regulate my own emotions. And with the upbringing I had a lot of anger. And to snuff that anger down, I chose drugs and alcohol. Alcohol came much, much later in my life. Essentially, I treated everybody around me like none of it was real. A lot of my life I lived kind of like in a Delulu fashion, where if you understand psychotic features of the bipolar 2 disorder, whenever you're unmedicated, you tend to live life on delusion mode, and it gets hard. And for a big chunk of my life, I lived thinking that none of this was even real. None of it really mattered, and it didn't matter what we did, where we went. Essentially, none of this was real anyway. And I let that lead my life for quite a while. I lived a life of detachment and dissociation from not only myself, but from everything going on in my life. And I'm going to kind of paint a picture for you of how many times Jesus has shown up for me in my life, especially as an adult. So I was an assistant manager for Quick Trip for about 5 years. I trained managers there. It was a really great job. I loved it. It's one of the best companies that you could ever work for. They take care of their employees. They take care of their customers. It's a great place. I was not in a good place in my life. And I became addicted to K2, otherwise known as spice. I'm sure everybody kind of already knows what that is. If you don't, Google it. It's basically synthetic marijuana that's heavily unhealthy, has so many chemicals in it that it essentially kind of fries you. And I did that for about a year, and I did it for about 6 months before I realized that it was heavily toxic, heavily addictive, and at that point it was already too late. I went through withdrawals, I went through relapse, I went through substitution, where you substitute it with other things, and it took a while to get off of that shit. It's very hard. Looking back on some of these moments, it's some of the biggest help I've ever had in my life came from those moments. At 21, I was heavily into drugs, and whenever I turned 21, alcohol, I was like, well, let's go out, let's party, let's make a day of it, you know, let's make it what it is. And I spent probably a good straight 24 hours straight, not only taking edibles, but cocaine and alcohol and smoking dabs, everything you could think of. Put it all into one day, and that was me. Then tack it on to an all-nighter where I was up all night long. And then the following day, I had to go to work. So I'm still under the influence, still very much not doing very good, not in a great way. And I am hauling ass to work, you know. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I'm driving. I got probably about a 45-minute drive at this time, but I'm hauling ass to work, still heavily under the influence, not paying attention, just listening to music, running down the fast lane, taking care of myself, right? Going to work. It's a great day. Just turned 21. Well, I'm not paying attention. Someone gets on the highway, merges all the way over to the left lane, and pushed me off the road. But I wasn't paying attention. The car went off into the guardrail and probably took out a good 50-foot stretch of guardrail and took out the entire front end of my car. And realistically, I should have died that day. My car was totaled, and I had to get a new one. I was dumbfounded for a while, beating myself up, kicking myself in the ass for putting myself in harm's way, and realizing that I didn't deserve the air that was in my lungs at the moment. I had hurt so many people growing up. I was so sweet to some, but I was so terrible to others. And when that happened, I felt like I didn't deserve my life. Which, while you look at it from one perspective, Jesus just saved my life and gave me another opportunity, you know? But what did I do with that opportunity? I took it and I wasted it. Yeah. What did I do? I dissociated more. I went further into drugs. Broke up with my partner at the time. Didn't want anything to do with anything. Just pushed it all the way. It's like, nope, nothing's for me. I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve a good life. I don't deserve nothing. Fast forward. At this point, probably a couple months, and mentally I am just not there. I completely check out of my job and I quit. Literally just quit unbeknownst for no reason other than I was just in a very terrible place, and I made every excuse under the sun to quit my job. I wanted something new. I wanted things to change. I just didn't know how I wanted to do it. And that was my own doing. It's my own fault. Fast forward a little bit more. At this point, I've upgraded to hallucinogenics because I am searching for an experience. I'm searching for something. Mind you, at this point, I have pretty much completely put my faith down. My upbringing, my dad was very Christian for a period, but he kind of put it away because of the way that he saw his family and everyone else acting. My mom, never really been much faith-based. My mom's been addicted to meth pretty much her entire life, and she's been absent for quite some time. I hope she's doing okay, though. God bless. At this point, I'm into shamanism and tarot and mysticism and stones, Reiki, God, you name it. I went all the way down that rabbit hole, buddy. All the way. I got a lot of information out of it, and I got so much information overload that while I'm already bipolar and I've got mood swings and I've got irregulations and I've got tendencies to be impulsive, I just keep going, I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. Then eventually you get all the way to the point to where you're listening to binaural beats, trying to do remote viewing and getting out of your body and doing all of these things. And while every bit of that has its place, it damaged me more. And in 2018, I had my first psychotic break. At this point, I was completely off of meds, not taking any kind of medication whatsoever. And I've had delusions and issues like that pretty much my whole life as a kid, kind of growing up, because I mean it's an imbalance, it's a thought pattern problem, and once you kind of put yourself through the ringer and put yourself through the therapy of thinking differently and acting differently and realizing that it's not the outside world that's the problem, it's the internal that's the problem. You have to go within. So of course I'm like, yeah, shamanism, let's go. Acid, let's go. DMT, yes. So yeah, I took mushrooms, I took LSD, I took 4-MeO-DMT, and it progressed to the point to where I felt like, wow, this was the most life-changing thing. This was helping me. Couple weeks later, I have my psychotic break. I wake up out of a dead sleep first thing in the morning. I wake up and I keep hearing the same noises over and over. Everything feels like it's on repeat, like it's on a loop. Makes me feel like I'm trapped inside my own head, which made me freak out and storm out the door, and I ran all the way across town. At this point, I feel like I'm being led by an orb that only I can see, obviously. Mind you, this is post-shamanism, this is post-binaural beats, this is post all of that. Basically, I feel like I am on a shamanic journey at this point, you know? You feel like it. You feel like this is the call to action. This is it. This is the moment. I'm going to go in. I'm going to fix things. I'm going to mold and transmute myself into everything I need to be. And while diluted as it was a psychotic break. I ran across town. I ran under spillways. And now this is where all the graffiti is. So of course, everything that I see, it's like, oh, it's a sign. It's telling me, yeah, keep going. Now go over here. Now do this. Now do that. And I'm just following this orb all across town. Come out of the spillway, run on into a apartment complex. I see a U-Haul truck. The orb goes into the U-Haul truck. I just climb into the U-Haul truck. People are unloading it. I just climb in there, just sit there for a couple minutes, and the orb takes off. I get out of the truck. I keep going. Takes me up to the front of the apartment complex. there's a gentleman sitting in his car, just in the roundabout, in the entryway. I just walk up, open up his passenger door, get in, sit down, start talking to him for a minute, get out, walk away. This guy looks at me completely lost. He has no idea what the hell's happening. Of course, he's so confused. He's probably thinking, do I grab my gun? Do I just talk to this guy? Is he okay? Do I call the cops? Yeah. Well, got out of the car, told him, hey man, have a good day, kept on going. Went all the way across town. At this point now, I'm just walking down streets, I'm walking down back alleys, I'm following this orb, I'm hearing things, seeing things, like everything is just telling me, do this, do that, do this. And I've got, at this point, I was deep into shamanism, like I said. So I had a silver necklace that I had set up the way I wanted it to. I had put a moonstone on it, and had put some other little pendants on there from, the chakras and things of that nature, some healing stones, things like that. And I have this on me at the time, and I feel guided by what I'm doing. I feel called to this action. It brings me all the way back full circle. I come back up out of the spillway. At this point, I'm just looking at the ground. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I walk up to a house, and I look in front of it, and oddly enough, it's like every car that was in front of this house was a vehicle that I recognized from a point in my life, whether it was a vehicle that I owned, a vehicle that a family member owned, something like that. So symbolically, I felt called to this house. So I walk up to the house, and I hear familiar voices on the other side of the door. Very weird. It's the most surreal thing I could ever describe to you. I knock on the door. A probably 2-year-old child opens the door. His mother or caretaker, one, not sure, is off in the background, laying on the ground, asleep. And this child answers the door. The child starts talking to me. He's very confused, doesn't know what's going on. And then the mom wakes up. She looks at me and starts screaming at me, what the hell are you doing here? Get the fuck out of my house. I don't know you. Because, of course, all she sees when she opens her eyes is that her child has the door open and I'm standing in the doorway. So, just put two and two together. Of course, if you're a caretaker, you would probably react exactly the same way. All I did was look at them and say, do good, be good. And then I turn around, I walk out down the little sidewalk area, and I take my necklace off and I put it over their mailbox. Something tells me inside, take the necklace off, put it on their mailbox as a symbol of protection. Something's going on there, or someone needs help. So I took it off, put it there, and I take off down the street. Not even 30 seconds later, boom. Psychotic trip ends. Now at this point, I'm just walking back to the house, very confused, very lost, don't really understand what the hell just happened, because I know in my own right mind I wouldn't make those decisions. At this point, turned around and tried to put that entire side of my life down. I put the drugs down, I put everything down for quite some time. And then I picked it all right back up. Why? Not because I was unmedicated, but it was because I was lost. So I went back into drugs, back into doing all the things that I knew I shouldn't do. But I left all of the mysticism and stuff aside. So at this point, I'm just completely lost, confused. And I think to myself, how many instances in that entire trip that I could have ended up in jail, could have lost my life, could have got hit by a car, God, you name it. Anything could happen. Now, I don't know that the orb was Jesus that I was following, or that Jesus was just with me, but I was saved that day too. And that is hard to put into words. Fast forward even more. I meet someone, I think, hey, this is a different lifestyle than what I'm used to, and I feel like this is better for me. She lived a different life. She was very sober, situated, let's just put it that way. So I clung on to it. I clung on to something that wasn't for me because I felt like that was something that God wanted me to do. And I spent the entire time in conflict, feeling like I was lost and confused and understand what God was wanting me to do. So I just kind of stuck and stayed put. And if you really think about it, that really doesn't integrate the personal experience into what you are and who you are into what Jesus wants. You know what I mean? I really dissociated from myself and just locked into doing the wrong stuff. I started going back to church, but at this point I wasn't really ready. It wasn't of my own fruition. I got baptized and I felt like nothing happened. And I know to some people think that's probably blasphemy, which I understand, but every experience is different. And I felt like afterwards that my life was still the same. I still felt the same. I still felt like nothing was any better. Nothing was getting any better. I still felt empty inside. I still felt like I was just the shrill, messed up person that just couldn't think straight. Just couldn't think like normal. And trying to be normal is kind of like the hardest thing that you can do. And eventually I sabotaged everything around me. I did everything possible that you could wrong. I went back to drugs. After the baptism, I just went back to doing everything you could possibly think of. And I lost everything, man. Like, I lost it all. I lost my job. I lost cars. Like, I've lost so much in my life just because of the decisions that I've made, running away from myself, running away from who I am, running away from what I already knew God wanted me to do. And life in and of itself has enough struggles that if you make yourself part of that struggle and you continue to get in His way, it just exacerbates the problem. It drags healing out even further. At this point, I'm back home living with my father. You know, I've completely lost it at that point. I go back. I'm like, I just need help. I need to refocus. I need to recenter. I need to get my head screwed back on straight. I need to understand who I am, what I feel called to do, where I'm going with my life, what I want to do, how I see my future looking. At this point, I'm not even thinking about Jesus. I'm not thinking about Christ. I'm not thinking about prayer. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not. I start working. I got a different job, building trucks. Then I get promoted, and I'm a coordinator for truck production, which was great. Loved it. Loved the people, loved the work. Got to weld, got to do a lot of different things. It was great. I loved it. Problem was I couldn't stand the people. And as time progressed, I realized that I was constantly pushing myself back into the seat of the judge. I was constantly trying to judge my surroundings as something that was good for me or something that was not good for me. I judged it as if though everything around me was either something that could serve me or something that was not for me. And that was it. I had no gray area. It was all black and white. And truth be told, it's probably one of the darkest ways to live. But I met a friend that really, their lifestyle really refocused my brain. And I can't put it into words, but seeing people that are living in full-on, we'll just call it mysticism. I just said that encompasses so much. Just encompasses everything. And you see the lifestyle, and you realize that this is not the life that I want for myself. This is not the life that I envisioned. So I felt lost, I felt lost, I felt lost, I felt lost. And I say that because that's how my brain would just keep repeating it over and over to me. It's like, you're lost, you don't know what you're doing. And it starts to really creep up on you. And just one day, it just, I don't know, something in my spirit just said, hey, open your Bible, just start reading, start reading, start reading. Luke 9:23 is one of the first verses that stuck out to me. It was, if any man should come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. And that verse in and of itself kicked me straight in the gut. It was like, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I'd always felt called to a higher power. I mean, God, you get into Qigong and stuff like that at that point. If you've gone that far down the rabbit hole, you are searching for God. You are searching for Jesus. I started praying. I spent a couple months praying. And then I met the most amazing person. The most amazing person in the world. Like my exact opposite, my other half. We had so much in common, but also so much that differed. Our backgrounds were so alike. Her mother was heavily Christian. She was heavily raised in the church. And the influence just kind of, I kept on the path. I kept on and kept on and kept on. It's like, okay, I'm on the right path. Things are good. Things are good. Things are good. Then I realized that at this point I am drinking a lot. Like a lot. And even though I'm still praying, I'm still drinking a lot. I'm still snuffing down a bunch of feelings. I'm snuffing down a bunch of problems. There's a big portion of me that I hadn't dealt with, hadn't gone to therapy for. And the relationship's going great. We find out that we're having a baby. Things are even better. Of course, I've hung the moon. It's not like things could get any better, right? And we're in it, you know? Just full on in the experience. We're praying, we're going to church, doing all the things. And Thanksgiving, we have a miscarriage. I know that for a woman having a miscarriage, it's already hard enough. In this world, it's like nobody really understands the father's experience in that. And the miscarriage wasn't just a miscarriage, it was an at-home miscarriage where it was just the two of us. No one was there, and she started bleeding everywhere. And I'm just trying to be supportive, trying to help guide her through it. Just try to be a rock for someone else. Meanwhile, you're just ignoring your own pain. I just kept drinking more. After we found out we were pregnant, we both stopped drinking, obviously. She wasn't drinking, I wasn't drinking. But then after we lost the baby, I was lost in the sauce. I'm talking, you're putting a whole handle of bourbon away daily, and you're just throwing it back. You're becoming full on hyper functioning. You're drinking. You lose everything, and you lose your sense of time, self, everything. You're just lost in it. You're drinking yourself to sleep. You're losing time. You feel. Just anything to not think about it, you know. Anything to not think about how much she's hurting, holding my daughter. I kind of started to get to a point where I just detached again and dissociated. I got to a point to where it just became too much. Even as time went on, you think that wound gets easier, but it doesn't. Life resumes, reality takes back over, and you got to get back into the thick of it. You can't sit and worry about it. So I stopped taking my medication. I start drinking. That's all I want to do. It's like I don't feel like life matters anymore. Fast forward months later, and now we're up to present. Yesterday, I was at the laundromat doing laundry. And this man just comes up and starts talking to me. And at first, you know how people are nowadays. You're very either standoffish or you're just open to communication. But something on my spirit was just saying, just keep being friendly to people everywhere. You've been doing this for a while now. Just keep being friendly. There's no reason to treat a total stranger like crap. Just stay consistent. Treat this man as if there's a little piece of Jesus in him. He tells me he's a car salesman. I tell him I'm an emergency medical technician. Everything's good. We just have back and forth. And he sits on the table and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, it's like, I'm sorry if I'm bothering you." It's like, I don't want to sit here and take up too much of your time. He's like, I'm a very smiling type person, and I know from experience that you never know that smile, that conversation, that uplifting word could really make a difference in someone's life. Because you never know that person you're talking to may have just been contemplating taking their life. I'm sorry. Little did he know that I had just put myself in the hospital a couple days before because I wanted to kill myself. Jesus isn't Lord, I don't know who is, because that's Lord right there. He said he's a faith-based man. So am I. And it's like so many times, it's like Jesus is just right there, just ready to reach out, talk to you, and hold your hand. Life's a mystery. But Jesus is with us every day. My testimony is through my bipolar dysfunction, me screaming at people, me taking my anger out on people, every little bit of everything I've been through, Jesus has saved me every time. Just wanted to take a second to at least put it into perspective. If you're feeling lost, if you don't feel like things are capable, get in here. Just do it. Let's get in this bad boy. Christ is King. He will save you. Let him in. Let him in. Please, let him in. I know this is long. I know this is very long-winded. I don't expect people to stay till the end, but if you did, thank you for listening to my testimony. Preaching the Gospels right now to myself is the thing that's keeping me afloat. I've read probably 3/4 of the Bible in total throughout my life. Not well versed in it, but I'm getting closer every day. And instead of wasting my life the way I did after my car accident, I'm going to take the remaining bit of life that I have left. I'm going to live the hell out of it. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to try to be an ear for other people, to listen, to know that other people are going through things too. And I want to pay it forward to what that man did for me. You are Lord. Just do good, everybody.